Good morning, traders. I am Elliott Mgmt, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Wednesday, August 14th. We are coming off a spike in markets as we await more inflation data due out before the bell. During regular trading yesterday, the Dow jumped 408 points, or more than 1%. The S&P 500 gained 90 points, or 1.68%. The Nasdaq advanced 407 points, or 2.3%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're flat to higher. We're up 0.05%. Okay, I'll take that. It's better than being lower. But, we got the market's really waiting another round of key economic data. Before the bell, we got the July CPI data coming out, and that's the inflation report that everyone's been waiting on. What else we see happening here? Japan's prime minister announced that he's going to be stepping down in September. Didn't really have a major effect on the Japanese markets overnight, but this could be something in the next week that could cause the Japanese market to become a little weaker. Iran, is on the news. They're thought to be waiting the outcome of those Gaza ceasefire talks, which start tomorrow, before making a decision on if or when they're going to do a strike on Israel. Boeing's in the news. They're close to a big deal with Israel for jet fighters. Mars is said to have done a deal with Kellanova, ticker K. Remember, K was a spin-off of Kellogg. Southwest Airlines, Elliott Mgmt is preparing for a proxy fight against Southwest Airlines. Elliott wants to name 10 guys to the board of directors. 10 directors. Wow, that's a lot. Peloton, ticker PTON, that's moving higher after announcing a deal with Google. So we got a lot of good news happening this morning. We're looking at overseas to see what happened in Europe. And, for the most part, we really are showing gains. I mean, the DAX is up 78 points, or 0.44%. The FTSE's up 27 points, or 0.33%. And the CAC is up 31 points, 0.44%. We're seeing there's positive action in autos, luxury stocks, which is good. What else do we see happening here? Oh, the UK consumer price inflation for July increased less than anticipated. So that's good because it's boosting the odds of a rate cut for the BOE. Then French consumer prices rose 2.3% in July from a year earlier, slight increase. Moving on over to Asia. Asia was a mixed bag last night. I mean, we saw the Nikkei jump 209 points for 0.58%. There was some gains in autos and financials. Hong Kong, it did finish lower. It was down 60 points or 0.35%. But, Hong Kong snapped a 5-day winning streak. So you got to realize that they've been having a lot of gains. So, a small drop today or this morning wasn't a big deal. And Shanghai dropped 17 points. That's 0.60%, 0.6%. But there's a lot of economic data coming out tomorrow on China. We got industrial production, retail sales, and the unemployment figures are all due for release tomorrow. So those are key ones to be watching. And if they're coming weak, I mean, that's kind of what the market's telling you ahead of time. Then we're turning our attention over to oil. Oil's all over the place. It was higher, then it moved lower. Now it's mixed. You got WTI at $78.26 a barrel, whereas Brent is at $80.72 a barrel. Now, last night, the American Petroleum Institute released their stockpile estimates for the week of August 9th. And according to their estimates, inventories fell by 5.205 million barrels last week. Now, that's bullish for oil prices when you have a draw on inventories like that. But this news of that Iran may be, holding off on their strike on Israel because they want to see the outcome of the Gaza talks. That's actually, that's kind of, bearish for oil because it's not happening quickly. So, you're seeing a little bit of weakness in WTI as a result. Those peace talks start tomorrow. They're unlikely to really, be able to close out with an accord. But you never know; anything can happen. But oil is mixed, and it's going to be a little volatile likely today. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, we can hear from your opening there. You're really keeping track of a number of items today. Those news headlines coming in, earnings action, economic events, and we're going to get to some of the details throughout the show. We're going to start with earnings action, Bill. What is going on in terms of earnings today?
Yeah, well, it's a little light, but we did have some earnings come out. Brinker International missed by 11 cents on higher revenue. Cardinal Health, they beat by 11 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. You look at Cardinal Health this morning, and that stock's up 6.71%. So that was a nice little uptick for them. Upcoming after the bell today, we got Cisco Systems, ticker CSCO. Their EPS is 85 cents. Expected move is 6.60% when they release. And then, we're moving on to tomorrow morning. I mean, tomorrow morning is going to be interesting because we do have a number of companies coming out with earnings, such as Walmart, ticker WMT. Their EPS is 65 cents. Expected move is 5.64%. You got Deere and Company also coming out. Their EPS is $5.85. Their expected move is 5.36%. JD.com, ticker JD, their EPS is 86 cents. Expected move is 7.04%. And Nice is also releasing, ticker NICE. Their EPS is $2.58. Expected move is 10.84% when they release tomorrow morning, Emily.
A number of earnings there that are worth following. And speaking of following data, economic events have been in focus this week. The reports that are coming out, and we do have more today that are important to keep track of. So give us a rundown of everything we should be watching when it comes to the day's economic events.
I just want to back up here for a second here. I just hit a story in the tape. Victoria's Secrets gets a new CEO. Interesting. VSCO is the ticker there. We'll have to more on that to come. Okay, let's talk about economic reports. This morning, 8:30 a.m., we get the consumer price index for July. Forecasts are indicating a 0.2% increase for the month of July. 10:30, we get the EIA oil stockpiles report. That's going to be an interesting one because while the API indicated drawn stockpiles, they don't always match. So, we have to really wait for those EIA oil stockpile reports to come out. Yesterday, we did hear from Fed Bank President Raphael Bostic, who spoke, and he indicated that a rate cut is likely by the end of the year. He's not talking September. He said by the end of the year. He emphasized the need for more data to ensure the decision is appropriate. It's consistent with what he's been saying. You might not like it, but that's what he's saying. More is going to come out next week when we get that Jackson Hole meeting Thursday and Friday. We'll get much more clarity on the Fed's position in terms of when or what the rate cuts will be like. But that's what I have for you in terms of economic news this morning, Emily.
Bill, before you shared those economic events, we saw or heard in real time, seeing news hit the tape, that story about the new CEO for Victoria's Secret. This is one of the benefits of news where you're tracking all sorts of information very quickly. So you're looking at alerts for your earnings releases, for your economic events, but you're also seeing other types of news hit the tape. Again, you're looking at merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news. You're also looking at stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. And as we heard, seeing news hit the tape in real time. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Yeah, that Victoria's Secret stock, VSCO, is up 14.84% this morning. That's a tough business. They never really seem to do well. They can change CEOs, but it's still a very difficult business. We're looking this morning. We're seeing a lot of mixed price action this morning. But I got to get into the news, onto it behind it because you got to look at Google. Google's trading off about 1.84% this morning, after gaining 1.84% yesterday. Now the issue here is the Department of Justice, the DOJ, is considering asking Google for a breakup. They're looking to break up the company after that antitrust win. Now, reports indicate that they're looking to have them sell their Android operating system and perhaps their Chrome web browser. See, this is negative news, but it's not horrible news. This is not going to happen overnight. This is not going to happen this year. This could take 3, 4, 5 years for this to happen. The problem is it's going to weigh on Google's stock price for a long period of time. So, you might see some ratings, price targets come in a little bit on Google, but remember, this is what they did with Microsoft in the 90s, and Microsoft sat at $50 for 6 years while they had these DOJ issues hanging over their head. So, we got to be a little cautious with Google today, but the bottom's not going to fall out. I think that's not going to happen. Tesla, we want to talk about a little bit of news on Tesla. The UAW is now alleging that Trump and Musk conversation that they had the other day, that they made attempts to intimidate workers during their conversation on Twitter or X. That's not good. You don't want to mess with the UAW. We're talking Dow Jones 30 stocks. We're talking Boeing, ticker BA. They're close to a deal, a big deal with Israel. It's a big jet order for up to 50 F-15 fighter jets and modernization of 25 additional planes. This appears to be an $18.8 billion order. Intel, we got some news on Intel. Intel sold 1.18 million shares. 1.18 million shares in ticker ARM, ARM, during the second quarter. They mentioned that in a regulatory filing yesterday. That's a big sale. That's a lot of money that just came into Intel. In terms of merger news, Allstate, ticker ALL, they're looking to sell their employer voluntary benefits business to Stancorp Financials for $2 billion. Kellanova, $82.50 a share. That's what Mars looks to be paying in a $36 billion takeover. Mars taking over Kellanova, $36 billion deal. Alaska Air, ticker ALK, in Hawaiian Air, HA, they agreed with the Department of Justice to extend the merger review period until August 16th. That's 2 days, not a big deal. In terms of guidance news, we got Cardinal Health. They raised their full year 2025 EPS view to $7.55 to $7.70. Street estimate was at least $7.50. That's positive news. I mean, that's positive. You got to look like CAH, Charlie Apple Henry. Let's talk shareholder meetings going on today. Gilead, ticker GILD. They own controlling interest in CMBed, CMBA Therapeutics, which has an FDA decision today. You might want to keep an eye on GILD. And JD Smucker's, SJM. They're having their annual shareholders meeting today. Starts at 11 a.m. Could be a press release coming out on that. USFD, US Foods, they announced a $211 million share repurchase. Now they're purchasing the stocks from Shaheen Head Capital Management, and this is part of their 1 billion share program, share buyback program. So it's interesting. They bought the shares back at $52.28. So it's kind of interesting. Where's US Foods trading? USFD. Okay, they bought them back at $52.28. The stock's at $54.73. Could be a little overvalued at $54.73 if they bought them back at $52.28. That's what the company said they're worth. Interesting. We'll have to see what happens with ticker USFD today. But that's what I have for you in terms of news in the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what is your pick of the day today?
I'm going to go with JD.com, ticker JD, John David, today. Earnings are out tomorrow morning. EPS is 86 cents. Expected move is 7.04%. You're looking at yesterday's call volume, 32,560 calls traded against 9,015 puts. That's like 3 to 1. Then you're looking at the open interest, 621, 155 calls traded versus 416, 337 puts. That's more than slightly positive. I would need to say that. Major brokers do like the stock. They got price targets in the 40s for this one. I mean, you look at stock trading 26.19 and you see the price targets are in the 40s. You got to appreciate that. Now, and then I look at what the CEO said last quarter, in the earnings report. He goes, "We are confident that we will further build on our momentum in the months ahead." Okay, you got a weaker Chinese economy. You got bad economic data, but likely expected to come out from China tomorrow. But JD could be a bright spot. They could easily beat that 86 cents. And we could see some price appreciation. Last quarter, the stock was trading $32. Now it's stock's trading 26. Yeah, I could see a beat here. I'm looking to get in 26.10 to 26.15, somewhere around there, and grab my 1% on the day for that stock. I think that's easily doable. But that's my pick of the day, JD.com, ticker JD, John David, Emily.
We will follow JD.com along with you, see if we can get that gain there. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day to see if you were able to snag a gain with that one. So stick with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, sending it back to you.
Home Depot's getting some price targets drops this morning. NVIDIA supply chains checks on NVIDIA came back positive according to Barclays. Barclays upgraded Dell yesterday, and the stock really ran. You look at Dell this morning, and I think it's trading. Yeah, Dell's up another $2 today. Wow. FLUT Flutter, this stock had a great earnings report yesterday. Stock's trading higher, but Playtech confirmed stocks with Flutter to sell one of its businesses to DraftKings, ticker DKNG, will not move forward with the gaming tax surcharge. Southwest Airlines commented on Elliott's plan to replace the majority of the board. Since Elliott launched a campaign against Southwest, the board has consistently sought to engage constructively and in the best interest of all shareholders. Elliott has dismissed those efforts at every turn after Elliott agreed to a meeting with Southwest Airlines in early September to discuss a collaborative resolution, including significant board refreshment and other governance enhancements. Elliott unilaterally decided to pursue and announce its intention to replace a majority of the Southwestern board. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Google, hey, they had that meeting yesterday, that announcement yesterday about the new iPhones. So those phones really aren't about the iPhones. They're more about the AI features. Tencent, delivers a good, strong Q2 profit. Harley Davidson dealers are accusing the bike manufacturer of taking most of their profits. Let's see what else we got here going on. GMAD, Grace Michael Edward David, they received an FDA warning letter, but the company says it's already taken the action. So, okay. Performance Food Group said it's going to require the Florida-based food stores distributor Cheney Brothers for $2.1 billion in cash. Vacation industry is stepping up its lobbying of U.S. lawmakers. Spotify, a company, will update its app on Apple devices in the European Union to include prices of various plans and services. Tesla Highway Safety Administration has closed a preliminary evaluation into nearly 75,000 Tesla vehicles over front suspension failures. That's what I have for you hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off and get to trading today on this Wednesday, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Brinker's International. You did give us a preview of the stock during your earnings rundown. Now, this is the parent company of Chili's Bar and Grill and Maggiano's Little Italy restaurants. They did report earnings. They reported a Q4 EPS of $1.61. That was below the consensus of $1.72. As you told us, they did beat on revenue, although they reported a Q4 revenue of $1.21 billion. The consensus here had been $1.16 billion. Comparable restaurant sales were up 13.5%. They did offer guidance. Brinker sees full year 2025 EPS of $4.35 to $4.75. Now, there's a variety of estimates here, but some were ahead of that at $4.78. Just hit the tape a few minutes ago. Brinker International did file an 8K for operations and financial conditions. Now, it was down this morning, Bill, after that earnings report, not as attractive as investors had hoped, but you were trading this one yesterday. And if you stuck to your strategy and took your gain when you saw it, were you able to get out with a win? How did your call work out?
EIT, Breakers was a winner. You just look at the numbers. The stock opened up at $68.87, fell down to 68.63, crossed back over the past the opening price, and then it ran. It took off. It hit a high of $71, 68.87 to 71, and it closed at $70.40. Listen. If you know me, I watch these option volumes very closely. When I saw those option volumes on the put side starting to become elevated, because they were like, they were like 110 contracts difference between the calls and the puts. I had to run. I had to get out, and I got out. It was a gain. I was happy. Made my 1% and walked away. EAT was a winner in my book. I was, I wasn't really planning to hold it into earnings anyways. So, the fact that I got the gain during the day, I was very happy. I took it, and the 1%, I took it and walked away and called it a day. And EAT was a winner for me yesterday, Emily.
Take that gain when you see it, sticking to that strategy for a win. And we will check in with you tomorrow about today's JD.com pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Mgmt, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.